I'm waiting for the bits. I can hear rapid blinking in the background, so I know someone special is joining us.
What to do?
I think we are.
So I'm trying to do a post here in the background. Oh,
And we're live. Yeah. What'd you say there? Okay.
so I was trying to do a post here about these Vision Pro returns.
Okay. Live, hot off the press. Greetings. We got Betty Reyes here. We got Richard Field. Oh, Richard Field wants a yeah. I don't want to hear nothing about it, Lewis. We got Nathan Therian with a very, well, it doesn't look that enthusiastic. He says, hello, Governor. We got Captain from the Future. We got Streamlined. We got Tomas. We got Richard Field. People are excited. LK's returned. LK is back. See, I told you guys he was still alive. You didn't believe me. But here he is.
We don't really have proof of life, though. All we got is that one headshot. It's not even a headshot, is it?
And it's not even up right now, actually. Maybe I should add it to this scene as well. Let's see here. I should do something here. Let me go ahead and add that scene, and we'll add. Yeah, it's a good idea. Oops. Uh-oh. There we go. Where should we put LK? Maybe right up there. He's not going to be moving much.
The CultCast is live now with 100% more Kahney.
All right. There we go. Oh, I need to make that a little bit smaller, don't I?
If only there was a tweet that I could quote.
You simple-minded creature. You only ever think about one thing, Lewis. And that's
I'm
what
driven.
I like about you.
I've got a purpose.
We got the The tweet's gone out. The tweet has been tweeted. You have 1 hour to make any edits. See, there are some benefits to going blue, Lewis.
You're too good to work blue.
One of these days, we got to try
right.
streaming to my Twitter channel and seeing if the listeners just come pouring in. Oh, my goodness. Do I have any hard stops? I don't think so. Let's see here. I think we're ready to roll. Should we bring up Mrs. D?
If we have to.
All right, everyone. We're going to get this thing moving. Let me close this out. We got bits coming in. Everything's looking good. We had to make some last-minute adjustments, obviously, for the introduction of our special guest here. Why don't you go ahead and close that out. And I think we will be ready to roll. Yep, there are my notes. And, God, I have too many windows open. Too many. What could go wrong? YOLO. Does anyone say that anymore, Griffin? Did any of your friends say that?
No, not really.
That's too bad. Maybe you should try to start it. Start the trend. Okay. Oh, Mrs. D. Mrs. D. She is excited. Oh, is that one Mr. Kahney over there? Oh, Mrs. D. You have sharp eyes. Oh, I didn't recognize him with his pants on. Gross.
Jeez.
Mrs. D, please. It's a family-friendly show, and we have other things that we want to talk about, and it's definitely not that. So if you don't mind, I'll get the music queued up here, and we will get this thing rolling in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Airphone Elijah. Join me today. He finally exhausted the huge bag of narcotics he found in that dumpster 18 months ago. At least I think. And he's ready to make his comeback. He's the gov you love to love. Leander Kahney is here. There in the corner. Also with us, police are digging through his backyard this week after neighborhood kids found a pinky bone in his garden, which forensics say belongs to a missing CultClub writer. He's the managing editor of CultClub. Lewis Wells is here.
I swear it's from a raccoon.
They do have long fingers. Also with us, not even the double straps of the Vision Pro can make a dent in that voluminous hair force atop his head. He's a writer at CultClub. Griffin Jones is here.
canary in the coal mine. I still have both of my pinkies.
Well, give it some time, Griffin. Give it some time. And of course, we've got the Gov you love to love. I told you all he was still alive. You guys didn't believe me. Now, I don't have video evidence, so there's no way that we can, make you believe that it's not just AI. Because we've got his voice only. And there he is. We got his avatar in the top right, because we did this also last minute, as we often do things, that we didn't have time to get the video set up so you could watch him blink at 100 blinks per minute. But he is here. Leander, tell us something that an AI wouldn't know about you, like a deep secret that you hesitate to even share.
Well, now you're putting me on the spot. Those narcotics turned out to be rubbish. The AI wouldn't know that.
Oh, man. Well,
I put them back in the trash.
Okay. Well, now I'm starting to believe it is AI, because I don't envision LK ever putting that bag back in the trash. So now I'm not sure.
CBD. It was had no THC in it, so it was.
Oh man,
it was completely worthless.
So it's just like muscle relaxant. So it just made you feel like you were relaxed. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now I'm convinced it actually is you.
And it's not enough for him anymore.
So you said that THC was removed?
Yeah, it was for some balm. They were making skin cream out of it, so it was CBD heavy and no THC. So completely worthless, even though there was like pounds and pounds of it.
Well, now we know why they threw it away.
That explains the dumpster.
Exactly.
All right. Well, look, we got a lot of stuff here to talk about here today. And actually, LK is going to have the lead story. And we'll be talking about, more about the Vision Pro. The return wave has started. And I don't know if you all have been following this story online, but a lot of people seem to be thinking about returning their Vision Pro. Now, it's not everybody, but a lot of people do seem to be talking about it. And so we'll have a discussion about that. And I need to decide whether or not I'm going to return mine, which I'm probably going to do live here on the air. And then we'll talk to Griffin about all the things that he tried in his Vision Pro, that some of which I don't think that you should ever try, like exercising in your Vision Pro, cooking with your Vision Pro, typing with your Vision Pro. I did try that one, and he's got some real-world typing tests to share with you. And I think we're going to wrap up with just a little PSA about, I think, one of the hottest products of the year. If you're into photography especially, this is definitely something that you will be interested in, and I just want to give you guys a heads up so you're ahead of the curve, because this might be something that you actually want to pre-order. It's something that I'm going to pre-order, and once the pre-orders are done, I feel like it's going to be impossible to get your hands on it. So we'll do all that and more. Before we dive in, I should go ahead and give a thanks to Factor for supporting this episode. Of course, I need to find where my Factor website is. Oh, there we go. And I also guess I should probably bring up my show notes so I don't screw this up. Oh, man. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Whenever tomorrow or wherever tomorrow takes you. Be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan plus, veggie, and more. I do their protein-heavy meals. Oh, man. They really are so good. Yeah, I do their Protein Plus, which if you exercise, if you work out, like this is the one you'll want to try out. It's like having a restaurant quality meal in your refrigerator. And they're never frozen. So like the meat is still juicy and moist. And you get like a big slab of meat with a really interesting, delicious sauce smeared all over the top of it. And then like a huge serving of some really delicious vegetables. And you'll eat that thing, and you're gonna feel like you're ready to hit the Gold's Gym, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You'll be going, yeah. That'll be you after you finish the meal. And they don't make you sleepy or anything. Like, they actually give you energy, and they just are so delicious. I love having the Factor meals in my house, and they make a deal for our listeners. I think is a great deal. If I have piqued your interest, if your tongue is watering, if your beard is moist, head to factormeals.com/CultCast50 and use code CultCast50 to get 50% off. That's code CultCast50. And you will get a great discount on very delicious meals. Food's expensive these days, so this is actually a really great value. That is factormeals.com/CultCast50, and that is with the 50 at the end, CultCast50. Thanks to Factor for supporting this episode. Okay, I have the great honor of sending it to LK. He's back. He's ready to talk about people returning Vision Pro in droves. The Verge covered it. We covered it. It's been all over Twitter. Everyone is having to make the decision. Are they going to keep the Vision Pro or not? LK, I would love for you to weave in whether or not you're keeping your Vision Pro into this story, but take it away.
Yeah, well, funny enough, I am still not decided. I'm totally wavering. Like I went into it figuring, yeah, I'm definitely going to return it because it's so expensive. And, we'll do a quick review and then I'll send it back to Apple. But now I'm very much on the fence. But partly that's because of a sort of editorial decision, because, it seems like it's wise to keep it because we need it to make content for the site. That's our bread and butter, writing about Apple products. This is the first major new category of product they've had in at least a decade. So that's definitely factoring into it. Anyway, to get back to the point is that, like, I've never seen anything like this. There's been all over Twitter, hundreds, well, dozens, or if not hundreds of people are saying, they're going to be returning their Vision Pro headsets. And when the 2-week window is up, for a lot of the early adopters, the people who got it on the first day of sales, they have to return them by Friday, the 16th, February the 16th, or at least this weekend. So you're seeing on Twitter and a lot of the other social channels that people are saying that, yeah, they're going to return their Vision Pro. And I've never seen anything like this with any other Apple product. No one said that about the first iPhone, although the social, Twitter wasn't the kind of phenomenon it was, or the social media channels weren't the phenomenon it was when the iPhone came out, of course. But, I think there's been plenty of other Apple products that have been candidates for mass returns, possibly Apple Silicon, that, people have been disappointed by those. So it's unusual to see so many people saying that they're going to be returning a product, especially one that's got, it's gotten really rave reviews, although they've been definitely mixed reviews. There's a very, very big caveat, which is, this thing's magical. It's totally amazing. It's a glimpse of the future, but, a lot of people are just struggling, I think, to find a daily use case for this, and they're finding it hard to justify spending $3,500 on something that gives you, it's great to watch movies in, but at the same time, you're cut off from all your kids, your family. You're the only person who can experience this stuff. All the different things, the criticisms that people are weighing against the headset, I think, are weighing on the price. And so a lot of people are making that calculation that it's a lot of money to be keeping something that they don't really find is an absolute must-have.
Yeah, that kind of summarizes how I feel about it. I really want to keep it because it is so cutting edge, and there's some things that it does so well, and obviously I want to keep it because it would be good to see how the product develops over time. But it's $3,500 plus tax.
Right.
Like, it's almost $4,000, and I keep thinking to myself, $4,000 is a lot, and I can employ that money in different ways and buy multiple products that I might actually use on a daily basis. And I think, well, I don't want to get ahead of you here because I think you're going to talk about some of the other reasons that people are returning them. Did you already cover these? Let's see here.
The reasons?
Yeah, like the primary reasons aside from the cost that people are returning it.
Yeah, I think there were three main reasons, and it was sort of weight and comfort was a big one. A lot of people find it uncomfortable. A lot of people find it too heavy. That was definitely factoring into people's decision. The isolation, I think, was possibly the biggest reason. The fact that you can't share these experiences, no matter how incredible they are.
Yep.
And the third reason was, I think just, I think a lot of people went into it thinking that they were going to try it. They knew that they were going to return it when they bought it, and because of Apple's generous no questions asked return policy, as long as it's in good shape and the packaging is in pretty good shape, you can take it back to the store, no problem at all. And I think a lot of people, that definitely, that was my plan from the very get-go. It was like, as soon as I couldn't meet the Apple Store staffers in the eye, I couldn't look them in the eye, because I
you were too guilt-ridden.
Yeah. And I knew.
See you in 2 weeks.
Right, exactly. Precisely. That's exactly what I was planning. Because now I'm sort of like double thinking it. And I'm wondering whether I am actually going to return it. I think, more than likely I am. And that was the other interesting thing, I think, as well, is that I think almost everybody who said they were going to return it, everybody said, yeah, I'm going to be back for version 2. No doubt about it.
That's for the next return wave.
Yeah, I was going to say for 2 weeks.
Well, a lot of people were rubbing their hands at the prospect of hitting at the refurb store. They're going to have a lot of these on the Apple refurbished online store in a couple of months.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a ton. Although I will be curious to see how much of a discount they have to employ to get people to scoop all those up. Like, I don't know if 10% would be enough or even 15%. Like, I mean, that is obviously for many people going to be the biggest reason is the price. And I think you're right. A lot of people did buy this knowing they were going to return it. I mean, even I felt bad because I was on the fence when I bought it, but I went into it with the mindset of like, look, there's a 2-week return policy. I'm going to use it for 2 weeks, and maybe this thing will win me over because at this point, I don't know if it's something that I would use regularly enough to justify the cost. And it does some things incredibly well, like that cinema mode where you can be sitting in like a full-blown movie cinema and change like where you're sitting in the movie theater, like in the balcony, on the floor, like in the front row, in the middle row. Like that is incredible technology and is so immersive. But to the points that you brought up earlier, as immersive and mesmerizing as the experience is when you're wearing it, it is the exact polar opposite for everyone watching you use it. It is completely disconnecting. My wife hates the thing, and she hates that it even exists. She doesn't want me wearing it in the house or around anyone. She doesn't care about the ghost eyes. She hates it, and she hates what it's going to do to society. And she keeps bringing up the Wall-E references. She's like, next thing you need is the floating chair. And I'm like, yeah, all right, well, do they sell those yet? Because I'd actually be interested in that. So you really, you can't use this around other people, at least not at this point. And then the other part is, and everyone's got different levels of head and neck strength. My neck is fine. That was something that people have complained about. But for me, it's like the face pressure. The thing is too heavy, or at least it is not well balanced. Like they should have done something to address the balance issues. It's way too front heavy. And I find it to be fatiguing to wear. And there was a tweet by, let's see here, where is it? We have it in the story actually, by Snazzy Labs. I'm gathering some web assets for my Vision Pro video on my Mac Studio and my Studio Display. The Vision Pro is within reach. I haven't used it today. I have no desire to wear it to perform this specific task. That's kind of how I felt. I like wearing it in certain entertainment situations, but beyond that, I just don't really want to wear it. I'd rather just do stuff on my Mac from a productivity standpoint. And it reminds me a lot of like the Wii gaming scenario where motion gaming was like this really cool, huge fad. And then everyone decided like we didn't want to watch or didn't want to use motion controls anymore. We just wanted to have a normal controller. And I kind of think that is at play here too. Like a lot of people are like, oh, this is really cool, but I'd rather just be on my Mac or I'd rather just use my TV. Now, Griffin may change all of our minds when he comes in later to talk about wearing it while he's exercising, which just sounds gross to me. Having sweat pouring down your face on the interior of this thing. Ugh. I did a poll, and I know Colt and Mac did a poll too, which I didn't even see when I did my poll, just asking people if they were going to keep it or return it. And 52.2%, so 134 people have responded, have said they're going to return it. And only 47.8% of people said they're going to keep it. And Leander, I think you mentioned this in your story, like if more than half or even half of the people are going to be returning this, that this has got to be a massive, probably one of the biggest return waves Apple has ever seen for any product. I mean, iPhones can't possibly be anywhere near. I would imagine iPhone returns are in the single digits if I had to guess.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I've never seen anything like this at all, ever. It's a phenomenon. It really is. It's kind of crazy. But it's a very
there's-
polarizing product, isn't it?
There's no way to verify that the people who are filling out that poll even have a Vision Pro, though. Like, people who are like, oh, no, I'm not going to buy it. $3,500 is too expensive. Or the people who are jealous that they can't afford it. They're just going to fill out the poll anyways and say that they're returning it, if they want to feel that way. Like, it's not a scientific test whatsoever.
How dare you insult the integrity of my Twitter followers? Now, yes, half of them are bots, but the rest of them I think might be real. I mean, yeah, that's a good point. You don't know how accurate it is, but I've seen
Tim
multiple
Cook's in there
polls. What's that?
Tim Cook's in there voting. No,
Yeah.
I'm not returning it. It's the best.
He voted yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
I have seen this poll. I have seen the results from this poll replicated across different polls. So you are right. We have no way of verifying. It's definitely not scientific, but it does seem to indicate with the results that are pretty much replicated across different polls, across different outlets, that it may be true. I mean, our audience are mostly Apple fans. And yeah, I have some bots in there. I doubt they're voting on the poll. But across different outlets, I see the same kinds of results. So like, let's say it's half wrong and 25% of people are going to return it. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Are you keeping it or are you
The
selling
other part
it?
of
I'm
the
just
story
curious.
is like, this is Apple, one of the biggest tech company in the world, making a huge swing on a new product after like billions of dollars of R&D, launching their first major product in 10 years. Of course, it's going to be a major story when a bunch of people are returning it. That's why we wrote it up. That's why The Verge wrote it up, and it's like the big story. So consequently, all of the people posting this on Twitter are doing it because it's getting them a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's also true. And a lot of people, to Leander's point, they bought it just to review it. I mean, that's literally, there's so many YouTubers out there that bought this thing. I kind of wonder if Apple's going to have to change their return policy going forward to not let it be so easy to buy something and wear it for 2 weeks and return it. Because the amount of expense it's going to cost Apple to return and recondition all these Vision Pros and then resell them has got to be immense. And if everyone is just buying them to make TikTok videos, which I think is ubiquitous. I see this thing all over the place. Everyone picking the invisible blueberries while they're walking down the street, which is totally absurd because there's nothing in the Vision Pro. There's no touch mechanic in the Vision Pro that you would need to do while you're walking. It's pretty much useless while you're walking. But so many people in the TikTok era, they're doing whatever they can do to get clicks, and so they're going to buy this thing and just return it in 2 weeks. So people who would normally not buy a product like this are going to buy it because they know that they're going to just get their money back. I have to say, like, I am a little embarrassed to say this, but I think I am going to return mine. Like, that seems to be where I'm going with it. And for me, it's the fatigue. It's the fact that it doesn't do anything that I feel like I will use on an everyday basis in my own life. If it were $2,000, I might be willing to stick it out. I mean, I do want to stick it out because I enjoy it so much, but in context of the price, it's really difficult to spend $4,000. Like, my wife was like, how much is that thing? I was like, $4,000. Like, I tried to mumble as much as I could so she couldn't hear me, but she's got great hearing and she wasn't happy when she heard that it was $4,000, including tax.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the case for most people. I think they're reluctant, but there's no daily use case that justifies it.
Yeah. Now,
I use mine every day. I really like using it. Like that. In part because I don't own AirPods, so like when I put a podcast on the Vision Pro, I can be walking around the kitchen and like the audio follows me, which it doesn't really make sense to keep a $4,000 headset instead of just buying $250 AirPods.
have you
Pro.
heard of AirPods?
But on the other hand, like it's a computer that like all of my apps are following me around in 3D space as well, and I think that's very compelling. I put on a YouTube video and I can just have it like floating TV sized over my stove while I'm cooking, which is a part of the cooking video that I couldn't really do because I can't really show off playing copyrighted content in part of a YouTube video, but I use it every day in the evenings. Like, in the afternoons, I'll usually like finish up my work on my Mac using the virtual screen. And, I'm in this swivelly chair, so I can, at like the swivel of a chair, I can look over here and see mail and swivel that way and see messages and have Slack over there. Like, I really use the whole room when I'm working on it in my office. And then when I'm done with work, you just pinch the podcast app and walk out into the kitchen and start cooking dinner, stuff like that. Then I'm doing dishes, with a YouTube video, like just, floating above my dishwasher, and then, just stroll over to the living room, and by then I'm ready to plug it in, sit on the couch and put on, Doctor Who or something like that. I use it every day, but then again, I can't afford to keep it. I ran the numbers. I have to move again pretty soon, so I've got to save up. So.
Did you say?
Well, that's actually a good post for us, and you should do that. You should bust that out. Why I'm not returning my Vision Pro. I mean, keep the the reality of we're in a certain kind of special circumstance here anyway, aren't we? But I think that's actually quite a good compelling argument that you said that you've actually found you've useful. You may be in a minority, but I think that's interesting.
I mean an even greater minority because I don't wear the dual loop band whatsoever. I only wear the solo knit band because keeps my hair perfectly. Doesn't crush it or mess it up. But that's the one that people say is the uncomfortable one. But I genuinely don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I had no problem with comfort either. Like I don't even notice the weight.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, I found it surprisingly fatiguing. Like when I wear it, after I take it off, I just feel tired. Like my face feels like it's been sat on for 2 hours. and sometimes I feel like it gives me a headache because it's sitting on my temples. And like no matter how I've adjusted it, I have not found it to be comfortable. And I'm not saying, I hope people understand, like I'm not saying it's not an incredible product and that I didn't love it because I do. But I look forward 2 or 3 years and I'm like, and I think this is what many people are doing in their calculation. They're like, this is awesome. And I see that it's going to be a huge product. It's a glimpse of the future, but it's not quite there yet. And for the price, I'd rather just wait for version 2 or 3. Yeah. I also don't love how narrow the field of view is. I think that's actually the one thing that the Meta Quest 3 got right. I know Zuck's out there trying to convince us all that the Meta Quest 3 is better, which I'm positive he does not believe, and he probably had to have some like facial expression coaching to try to say that in any kind of convincing way. But that is the one thing about the Meta Quest 3 that I think is better. Like their lenses are just much larger from what I've heard, and you have a much wider field of view. Like once the Vision Pro dials in some of that stuff, once they balance out the weight or make it way less, I think this thing's going to be ubiquitous, man. Like it really is one of the most incredible pieces of technology, and certainly one of the most unique pieces of technology that I've ever used. Did we just lose somebody?
Sorry, I don't know, something went glitchy in my.
Oh, okay, no worries.
I better dial out now. Okay, guys.
Okay, thanks, LK.
All right, see you,
Next time you come back, let's do video.
Okay, all right, bye.
All right, bye.
So, Irfan, you just ordered yours through the mail, right? So you haven't been to a store to try on different light shield sizes or whatever?
No, I did. I picked mine
did?
up at the store, and they did a
okay.
fitting for me. And they were asking me about the fit, and I was telling them about the pressure issues. And he's like, oh, just adjust the straps and so on and so forth. And I felt like I kind of dialed some of that stuff out. But I think they pretty much rely on the accuracy of the facial scan that you do with your phone. Because I asked him, and I don't know how scientific this is, but I was like, hey, how many people come in here and you realize that the Face ID scan they did is actually not accurate? And he said maybe 10%. He's like, for the most part, people keep the fit that is recommended. And maybe that's the problem. But yeah, I switched to the double strap. What do they call that thing? The double loop?
The dual loop.
The dual loop. Thank you. I switched to the dual loop within an hour of putting the thing on my head because the solo loop was way too uncomfortable. I mean, it's basically like putting like a belt around your head and you're using friction to hold it on. Yeah, exactly. Like that is not comfortable, man. Like, and then you take it off and it's like you got like the goggle marks on your face because you've been depriving your brain of blood flow for the last 2 hours.
Really sounds like you're wearing it too tight.
Well, I'm not now. Once I switched to the dual loop, it was much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of things talking about how critical that fitting is, and people are doing all kinds of weird things to make them fit better and different. And I really feel left out of this whole conversation. I can't believe I still haven't even made it in for a demo.
Haven't even gone to the store.
They won't let me demo it unless I lie.
You have bad eyeballs. We will not let you even try it on.
They're prismists, I'm telling you.
You got to just go and tell them that you've got 10/10 vision, Lewis. And they'll say, hey, how's it fit? And everything will be completely blurry.
Yeah, right. That sounds great.
You won't even know what's going on in there.
I got to make an eye appointment. I can barely see out of my glasses as it is. I probably need to crank it up a couple of more notches. So one of the things you guys are talking about is this whole isolation thing, right? And one of the things that Zuckerberg was talking about is how it's way better because, they have more shareable experiences, right? And I saw somebody else ragging on, yeah, that's one way that Apple Vision Pro really is terrible about, because Apple didn't even like begin to think about the, having, experiences that you can share with other people. But it's like, okay, well, who's going to buy 2 of these things at $3,500 a pop? Yeah, look, I got us his and hers Vision Pros. I mean, does that even? I haven't seen anybody ever mention that. Is that possible? Yeah, we instead of buying a speedboat, we bought a couple of Vision Pros so we could sit and watch immersive video of people in speedboats.
I think that is something that is appealing to me. Obviously, not the price, but if you had multiple people with Vision Pros in the same room, I think it would be not so alienating. But if you have kids, especially young kids, you're not going to buy all them Vision Pros too. And like Griffin, like one of the reasons you're able to, wear yours at night is because you don't have kids. Like when I come in, like I can't be wearing that thing on my head. Like my kids are climbing all over me. There's a cable going into my pocket. They want to see my eyeballs. Like it's just not realistic. I mean, believe me, if my wife would let me, I would just put that thing on and tune out and just be in Joshua Tree National Park.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, see you guys later. I turn the knob and Papa's just gone. Like I just fade myself out. The spatial audio is like the best of any Apple product I've ever used. It's just so immersive. But
you like it better than AirPods for audio.
Oh, dude, it's the best audio experience from Apple I think I've had. Yeah,
I got to get new eyes.
Maybe HomePods are better.
And go try it.
But here's the thing. I mean, the HomePods are sitting far away, and they have to virtualize surround sound, and the speakers for the Vision Pro are right next to your ear. So I think it's much easier for them to virtualize the surround sound. But yeah, dude, it's the most realistic 3D soundscape experience that I think I've had of any technology product. It is really good sound, which is not something that people talk about that often.
And the neat thing about that, which I noticed when other people were trying on my Vision Pro, is that even though they're speakers, like they're not in your ears, other people could allegedly hear what you're playing. It's kind of hard for other people in the room to hear what they're playing because they're so close to your ears that they don't have to be very loud.
That's true.
I can play music on my Vision Pro and it'll sound like just as loud as headphones to me. And even though they're speakers and not headphones, like somebody across the room wouldn't be able to tell that I'm listening to anything at all. It's really strange.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well, that people couldn't hear every little thing that was going on. And dude, to your point, like being able to place windows in 3D space and just have them hang out there while you do stuff, dude. I mean, I get it. It's an incredible product, and the premise is definitely there. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 versions before we see a product that I think will appeal to the masses, that will be cheaper, that will be lighter, that will have better screens. I mean, they're going to make this thing so much better. And once we hit that point, not just
the hardware, but the software as well. Like we're only a few months away from Vision OS 2, which is, I imagine, is going to add a lot of new features and things like that. Like,
yeah,
I really feel like you can, with 2 weeks with the headset, you can do just about all of the stuff in a 2-week period. You can try out all the apps. You can do all of the different things. But like with software updates and, 6 months down the road when there are a lot more apps, there'll be another 2 weeks worth of stuff to do. So I almost wonder if there's going to be another wave of purchases like around September in that regard.
Yeah, you might be right. They need to figure out this eyesight thing too. What's the official feature called?
Eyesight.
Is it called eyesight?
The ghost? No, it's not. It's not called ghost eyes.
I just keep calling it ghost eyes because that's kind of what it is. It's like these spooky haunted mansion from Disneyland eyeballs. It's like an apparition floating in the distance in the mist. That's what it looks like. Dude, they got to figure this part out, because if people can't see your eyes clearly and not in some goofy AI type fashion, it's just not going to work, man. Like I'm showing a picture of this woman wearing the Vision Pro, and you can see how faint the eyes are. And it just looks goofy AF. It is not. You cannot have a real conversation with somebody as they're sitting here with their ghost eyes staring at you back. They have to make this thing like transparent, or they have to make it way brighter. I don't know what, but this interaction is not working. It just looks way too goofy.
I can see what they're going for. Like if I imagine a version of it that works, like, yeah, that might be kind of different, because like, then you could be wearing the headset and still have a conversation with another person. Like it would reduce some of the isolation stuff, which is what people are saying is one of the biggest reasons for returning the headset.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't believe the line of thinking or speculation that, Vision Pro version 3 is going to drop it. I think Apple's confident enough in this that they're just going to try and keep making it work again. And maybe it'll take like 5 iterations before they pull a butterfly keyboard and kill it and pretend it never happened. But like I can see a path forwards where they make it better and then people like actually change their minds and come around to it.
I think that there might be a cheaper version that doesn't include eyesight because it probably is expensive to implement. And some people are like, I don't need it. I'm going to use this as an entertainment device. I don't care if people can see my eyeballs. But it is a critical feature if you plan on using this to interact with other people, because if they can't see your eyes, it's very disorienting. Like you don't know if the person's paying attention to you. You don't know like what their reactions are to the things that you're saying. It's like talking to the voice of Sauron. Remember, like that guy with the creepy helmet that went over his eyeballs and the weird teeth? It's like that's what it's like if you can't see people's eyes. Sorry, Griffin, go for it.
Well, that's why I also don't think that cheaper versions of it are going to get rid of it either, because Apple knows that like as soon as they come up with a cheaper version, that's what 95% of the people are going to buy, and that's what everybody's going to base their experience on. And if it's also an isolating thing, then 95% of the people are going to return it. So I really think that a future version of the headset is only going to get cheaper when the Vision Pro that they can build today pretty much exactly as it is just becomes cheaper to manufacture and sell. I don't think they're going to drop eyesight until they get it as good as they want it to be in their initial marketing images, and then if people still don't like it.
I mean, you may be right. We've heard that Apple is working on, I think, 3 lesser expensive models of this. I mean, the eyesight seems like a prime candidate for features to drop to make this thing cheaper. As is the aluminum. Like maybe they can make the whole thing out of like plastic or something to make it lighter and to, I don't know, make it cheaper to make. I have no idea. But in its current form, even though it is hard to keep for me personally, I do think it's better than the MetaQuest 3. Which, where's the story? Let me pull this up. Let's get Gurman up here. Not Gurman. Let's get Zuck up here. And I don't want to play the video, but come on, bro. Come on, bro. Mark Zuckerberg says Quest 3 is better than the Vision Pro. I mean, the copium he must have huffed to get to this sentence is truly astounding. I know the MetaQuest 3 is good, especially for what it is, but I've never worn the MetaQuest 3, so I should put that out there. But I've seen a lot of videos of it, and I'm like, no, the MetaQuest 3 is like a really good Datsun, and this is like a Ferrari. Like they're not even in the same category of product almost. Like the MetaQuest 3 is like an entertainment device, and the Vision Pro is like, well, it's a spatial computer. It's something that you could actually wear all the time and live your life in, although I don't think it's quite there yet. Let's see here. So there's a video out this week. In the video, Zuckerberg says he always expected the Quest 3 to be a better value for most consumers. He's not wrong about that. Not surprising since the Quest starts at just $500. But after using Apple's headset, doggone it, Zuckerberg said he thinks the Quest is, quote, is better for the vast majority of things that people use mixed reality for. And then he put the mask on his face and took another huff of the copium. Zuckerberg called Quest, quote, a lot more comfortable. He's probably right about that because it weighs less and it's not as front heavy. So he's probably right about that. Additionally, the Quest lack of wired battery pack means more freedom of movement for users. Probably also true. Let's see here. Additionally, Zuck says, or he highlighted the Quest wider field of view. Yeah. But none of these things make it better. They were looking for small marketing blurbs they could use to ride the Vision Pro wave and say, well, if you think the Vision Pro is too expensive, you should just try the MetaQuest 3. Because in a lot of ways, it's better. And he's right. But those ways are not substantial enough to make the MetaQuest 3 better than the Vision Pro in any way, shape, or form. Griffin, you said you had some color commentary on this.
Yeah, a lot of people are calling this like a Steve Ballmer moment, which I think is a little bit off the mark. Because the funny thing, the really hilarious thing about the Steve Ballmer iPhone interview video is that Steve Ballmer genuinely believes that the iPhone was going to fail, and the Windows Phone products of 2007 were better than the iPhone.
Hey,
Like
they had a keyboard.
He's just totally blind to all of the reasons why the iPhone is better. Whereas I think Mark Zuckerberg in this video, it's like the fact that he's making it completely unprompted tells me that he's concerned about the Vision Pro, and that he's trying to, like, there's no way he genuinely thinks that the Meta Quest 3 is better than the Vision Pro. There's just no way that is actually
I'm thinking
true.
too. I'm like, you cannot believe what you're saying. There's no way.
And you can tell because, like, Steve Ballmer is very genuine, and Mark Zuckerberg comes off incredibly robotically.
Yeah,
like,
he always does.
Yeah, because
that's
CEOs,
his standard that's in his source code.
Because CEOs aren't good actors. Like the base qualities that make a good CEO are completely antithetical to the qualities that make a good actor. Like, you have to understand human emotions and have sympathy in your heart, which you don't become the CEO of Facebook by doing that. But like Mark Zuckerberg, he's just speaking. He's tiptoeing so very carefully in the way that a CEO obviously would when talking about a competitor's product. But yeah, it's.
I saw some people actually praising that video, and I watched it. I thought he actually seemed closer to human than normal, and I thought he made some good points. And what he's trying to do is capitalize on all this interest, right? And he's already solved the biggest pain point by a factor of 7 or something, right? I mean, it costs 1/7 what Vision Pro costs. That is that makes it an actual thing that you could buy, and not have to worry about it. Like, oh, I use this, once a week to watch a movie when I'm home by myself. I use this on my airplane flight when I have to fly to, Ohio on my own, I mean, it's doable at that price. And you could also, as we were talking earlier, you could get 2 of them. You wouldn't, if you had to buy 2 and it cost $1,200, that's still, I mean, think about that. You could buy a whole family one of these things for the price of an Apple Vision Pro. I'm not saying it's a better product, but it is. It if people are into this kind of thing, if they want to, take in their entertainment through a headset, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, as far as like why? I mean, how? The price difference is so incredibly different.
It's also a completely different product. Like if the Vision Pro is the Macintosh, then the Meta Quest is a Nintendo Entertainment System. Like, it's one's a lot cheaper than the other. One has more games than the other. One doesn't have a real operating system that you can do work on, and one's a spatial computer.
Yeah, but what did Apple pitch this thing as? The ultimate entertainment device. I mean, why? Because it's not that great for doing real work, right? I mean, I haven't seen anybody say, oh yeah, this just kicks the Mac's butt when it comes to actually doing work. Nobody has said that. Yeah. I've seen some people say, oh, I can do this one thing and it is kind of cool. And, like that one guy said, virtual video editing, pro level, Hollywood virtual video editing was great with it. Okay, great. So it's great for remote work. It's great for collaboration. That's fantastic. And if you're a Hollywood movie director, you could probably afford to buy one of these things. If you're, Joe Sixpack or, Timothy Chardonnay, you're sitting at home and you got 3 kids, you're not gonna buy every one of them one of these things, right? And you're not gonna feel comfortable, like Irfan says, being in a room with your family members. So I don't know. I think Zuckerberg was really smart with that video because he pointed out all the ways that it's similar to Vision Pro and how it meets many of the needs of people who are interested in buying a Vision Pro, but maybe don't want to spend $3,500, $4,000.
Yeah. I mean, to Griffin's point, they are completely different products. You might even say it's apples to oranges.
People also said the 1984 Macintosh was a baby computer that couldn't do real work either. And you know what? They were kind of true for the first few years. But then a few years later, like it found its niche hit in desktop publishing that took advantages of, the things that the Mac's real strengths. And then it became a hit product. But, it took a few years to get there. Yeah, I imagine we'll see the same thing play out.
I mean, none of this is I don't think what Zuckerberg is saying is this is a superior piece of hardware and we really beat Apple's engineering team. I think what he's saying is this product is approachable, does many of the things that a Vision Pro does, and hey, if you want to get in on the action, you don't have to mortgage your house.
Yeah,
I think that's all he's saying, and I think it's a very accurate point. Not having worn either one of them, okay, talking completely out my. But I mean, it seems pretty clear to me, and I remember when Apple was talking about this thing and spatial computing, this amazing that next future of computing, everything, and then it really kind of shocked me when a couple of weeks before they opened the pre-orders, like, oh, it's the ultimate entertainment device, and I'm sorry. An entertainment device doesn't cost $3,500. You said that like a TV does, but the problem with that is 10 people can watch it. That 100-inch awesome TV, right? But it's I don't know. It's a complicated problem, and I think what Zuckerberg did is said, here's a solution to many of those problems.
Yeah, look, it's like I said earlier. This thing's going to be everywhere in 4 or 5 years. It's going to get to the point where it's so good, everyone's going to be wearing these, and it's going to replace your iPad. For some people, it may even replace their phones. And the MetaQuest is not on that same trajectory. Like, the MetaQuest is like a video game console. It's something that you may use recreationally, but it's a completely different category of product unless somehow Meta is able to increase the level of functionality to a degree where it can compete with the Vision Pro, because in my mind they're completely two different products. Like the MetaQuest is an Xbox and the Vision Pro is like a Mac. It's like they just don't do the same things and they're not meant to. Okay, we sufficiently flogged that horse. He's been dead for several minutes now. I just checked his pulse. Yes, he's definitely dead. So before we move on, I do want to I do want to plug support.thecultcast.com, and you're like, dude, don't do it. Don't even ask me for money. I'm not. You don't have to give me any money. Although we do need your $5. It's just $5. Fork it over. Fork it over, pal. Should that be my new line?
Jeez.
This is a very interesting pitch.
Fork it over, pal. I just push you in the shoulder.
I could just feel the warmth and goodwill, flowing right back to you.
Look, we love our listeners, and you come here and listen to us.
Don't put words in my
talk
mouth.
About nonsense for. Okay, I love our listeners. They put up with listening to us for an hour every week. That's a lot of free entertainment that you get, in addition to the new bonus content that we're giving you extra week. If you spend a lot of time listening to the show, give us a little bit of support. Yeah. And I'm going to plug a new URL that you can also go to.
Oh dear.
CultOf9to5MacRumors.com. Very easy to remember.
Dude, that's top secret. That's our new site that we're working on.
It'll forward directly to the page. That is real. I did not warn Erfan or Lewis about that in advance.
Is this actually real?
CultOf9to5MacRumors.com.
MacRumors.com. CultOf9to5MacRumors.com.
You need to get a Squarespace page set up, man. It's like it's not loading.
Well played, sir. Well played. CultOf9to5MacRumors.com. The blog we always said we'd start together. Griffin has repurposed it, and now it takes you right to support. I mean, look, guys, podcasts are struggling. We definitely need your support. If you like what we do, if you want us to succeed, if you want us to keep making more content, like, we need your support. And if you're considering it, it's $5 a month. Hopefully that's not too much of a strain on you. But I also said you don't get anything for your money, really. I mean, you get to join the Cult Club Discord, which actually is a lot of fun. And I just started a new deals channel in the Cult Club. So when I find really great deals, which I'm pretty good at, I will be posting them in the Cult Club for all to see. Plus, we're hanging out. We're having a good time. And I really do want to start bringing listeners onto the show. And you have to be in the Cult Club in order to qualify to do that. Plus, I'm going to start putting pictures on the GovForce display, rotating through different supporters. And you'll get shout-outs on the show and stuff. So there are some perks. But the main one is CultCast Off Topic, which is a new ad-free show that's free for all thanks to listener support. It will always be ad-free. And it's going to be a playground for us, essentially, to start figuring out other topics that we might be interested in discussing that may not fit into the show. Now, sometimes it does, to be honest. I just did an episode with Max Tech We did a deep dive into Vision Pro. He wore it for 24 hours. We talked about what that was like, what we liked, what we didn't. But I could see CultCast Off Topic going in a lot of different directions, and it's going to be in the same style of CultCast, but other topics beyond what we normally talk about here. The next episode, I think the Grifster's going to do it with me. It is going to be how I find the best deals on tech, which I've gotten to be pretty good at. Like, I routinely buy tech for between 10 to 20% off. And there are some tricks that I've learned that I'm going to pass along to you all. Now, I will admit this works best if you're in the US. This may not work for people in other countries. But if you want to learn how to save money on tech and get really great deals tax-free on tech, I'm going to share with you my strategies. These are not things I've talked about in the show before, and that will be episode 2. If you are in the Cult Club, like if you decide to support, like you can help us define topics for future shows. We just got a ton of suggestions from listeners in there, and you could help craft the direction of a future CultCast Off Topic, which I would love. Like, I would love if it were actually completely listener-generated topics and maybe even like life advice. I know that sounds weird and zany. You're like, do I want life advice from Leander Kahney? Let me tell you, no, you do not. Unless you want your life to be like LK's, which, you know, do you want the DEA after you? I suggest not. But me, Lewis, Griffin, we got real life advice that we could share with you all that would help improve the quality of your life or perhaps even make it slightly worse. I'll leave the judgment to you. But if... Gurn Blanson, isn't every CultCast off topic? Shut up, Gurn. Yeah, maybe so. But this one, actually, ironically, has been mostly on topic. But it's gonna start. It's gonna start venturing out into the weeds. I guarantee you at some point. Support.thecultcast.com or cultof9to5macrumors.com. It just warms my soul that Griffin purchased that URL and that we'll have it forever. Give me your $5, pal. Give it here. Fork it over. All right, let's move on. Where are we? Griffin, what's next? I'm spiraling out of control. I have no idea where we are. Oh, wait.
It's going back to me.
Yeah, but real quick first, Lewis, do we have a giveaway?
There's no giveaway this week.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the last one's over, and we're waiting for the next one. So
Okay, cool. So then I'm gonna send it over to Griffin to crank through what it's like working out in a Vision Pro, cooking, typing, and who knows what else. Griffin, take it away.
Sure. So this is what a lot of people have been, you've seen the viral tweets of people, walking around town with them. I don't live in a town, so I can't really test that. But I do have a treadmill at home, so I was able to test, hey, what's it like working out in a Vision Pro? Because you've probably seen those videos of people like at a gym, pumping iron with one hand and like picking blueberries with the other. And so I was like, well, I'm going to try this out. So I went on a treadmill with my Vision Pro. I recorded a video. You don't have to watch it. I'm not going to plug this video because that, unlike the other ones, it's actually better just as an article. But I had a few comments because, we've been joking. Yeah, you're probably going to get like really sweaty or anything. Surprisingly, I didn't get really sweaty with the Vision Pro on my face. I was thinking like this is going to be terrible because moisture is going to build up and then the lenses are going to be fogging and then I won't be able to see anything. That's not true. Supposedly, the little nose bridge at the bottom of the Vision Pro with like the little felt thing that goes over your nose and with a little bit of opening, that's there specifically to avoid moisture building up inside the headset, and it did a really good job. What I did notice, however, is that like a ring of sweat and uncomfortable moisture started to build up around the light seal cushion. Ugh. Like just the circle where it makes contact with your face. Like my face is like a little red on that circle when I took it off. And I felt like the cushion just like retained a little bit of moisture for the rest of the day. It was not pleasant.
It was like slightly soggy for the rest of the day.
You need like a sport light.
Yeah.
Like right where it touched my, like it's a little bit darker on the inside. Which I don't recommend.
Stained.
Yeah. But
the water didn't just like start like building up and slowly coming up till it's like up to your eyeballs or anything like that, like a cartoon or anything, did it?
No, it drains like a river down my nose through the little nose bridge.
You're not convincing me of anything here, Griffin.
Well, I will say this. although it was kind of hard to use, because you're on the treadmill and you're bouncing around, there are two pluses because watching stuff on the Vision Pro while you're working out on a gigantic screen in front of you is very compelling. The window stays like surprisingly grounded to the floor. Like it's amazing how well the motion tracking counterbalances even like while you're running on a treadmill and all that. And the other thing is I couldn't even get the video to play because my internet is so crappy, and I was like, my treadmill's on the opposite side of the house from the router. It didn't even work, but I killed 15 minutes on the treadmill without even noticing that 15 minutes had gone by. Just because I was engaged in watching Vision Pro, and I wasn't like, every second of my existence is pain, which is normally what it's like when I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah. So you found it to be
time
very distracting.
By. Yeah.
That sounds like a good use for it, like just like on a plane, right? You're by yourself, maybe. I mean, I'm assuming you're on your treadmill by yourself. That's actually a perfect reason if you can do it without, turning into a big sweaty mess. I have a feeling I would be in trouble. You look like a fellow that might perspire rather than actually sweating.
Sure. No comment. There was one more downside at the end that I didn't realize until after the workout was done. This cup that I usually fill with water, it's too big. I can't drink it when I'm wearing the Vision Pro.
Yep.
Like it has this big wide. It's kind of comparable to like the biggest cup that they sell at a gas station, and it just I tilt it back to get a drink of water and it just taps the headset and I don't get anything. So I had to add the straw because it has a little straw hole that you can open. But then the problem is you don't really have lower peripheral vision when you're wearing the Vision Pro because it has like that inset. And I also still think my light shield is a little too big. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sort of like waving I'm trying to like put the straw in my mouth and I don't know where it is. So I'm just like waving the cup
your
around
face all over the place.
Yeah, until I poke it, and then I sort of have to go by feel that way. Also, not a great experience.
I found that same issue actually when I was trying to drink with it on. Like you can't really quite tell where your mouth is, and it's kind of disorienting. And then you put the cup up to your mouth or something, and now like the top of the cup is hitting the bottom of the Vision Pro. It just sticks out so far from your face. I hope they're able to dial that back. Like it would be way more comfortable if they could bring it in closer to your eyes. I mean, I'm sure there's some precise reason it has to be exactly like that distance away from your eyes or something. Maybe that's the most comfortable position. But I also saw some chatter about people removing the light shield so that they could place the Vision Pro closer to their face, and they found it to be more immersive and a wider field of view. So I don't know why Apple has it sticking so far out, but it is cumbersome, and it gets in the way of you interacting with your face. Like you go to scratch your nose, and like you're not even sure where it is.
I've seen a lot of those. Like people are getting baseball caps and like 3D printing clips that attach to the bottom of the Vision Pro and then clip to the brim of the hat so that it suspends it in the air, and then they go without the light shield and all this other complicated stuff. If I was able to keep my Vision Pro, then I would go to the trouble of like, ordering some of these 3D printed parts and try and replicate it myself. I'd also need to buy a baseball hat. I don't own one of those.
It wouldn't fit on there anyway.
You are going to get your Ohio card revoked if you keep saying you don't have a baseball hat. Come on, get a baseball hat.
All right, so anyway, cooking. Let's talk about cooking, Griffin.
Cooking. So, we've probably all seen like the viral clip from Joanna Stern's video from the Wall Street Journal where she's like, cooking pasta and she places all the timers around. I wanted to try that myself. I made pizzelles wearing the Vision Pro, and I didn't use the crouton app, but it was just really nice. Like I had my notes recipe like giant in the kitchen, like just like floating over there. Because I'm sure you've all been in the spot where you're trying to cook from a recipe on your phone, and your phone keeps auto locking, so you have to unlock it again to find the next step, and then you're scrolling up to the instructions and scrolling back down to the actual freaking recipe, and it's giant. It's a giant mess. But having it perpetually floating, like just on the right wall of my kitchen, was incredibly convenient.
Yeah.
I mixed up all my ingredients together. I walked over to the to the KitchenAid stand mixer, which is, for annoying reasons, it's on a separate part of the room. But I walked all the way over there, and then I could just like look over and like just pinch and pull, and like the recipe would just suck over right in front of me again.
Yeah.
I don't have to walk back to get my phone, and I can just
the hands-free element of like the Vision Pro is so liberating. It's like, like it's like having an iPad on your face, man. And you control it with your face, but the windows just stay floating up there. You don't have to be like holding and looking at your iPad. And so you gain control of your hands, or you gain use of your hands, but all the windows are still there. Like, that part is such a compelling feature. Sorry, I didn't mean to steamroll your
oh no, you're good.
Your analysis here.
But then we get to the downsides, because I have, as I mentioned before, an incredibly poorly lit house. My kitchen, it has like a bunch of giant windows and a bunch of lights in it, and yet it's always just perpetually too dark, especially in the Vision Pro. It's like the video pass-through is just really muddy in that room. And I even filmed the video like at like noon in broad daylight on a sunny day, and you can still see just how much darker it is inside the Vision Pro from the first person perspective compared to what I just shot on my iPhone. The video pass-through also let me down in another way, because my measuring cups have the measurements embossed, not printed. So I couldn't read them. I had to like hold them up to a light and like try and look at the reflections to be able to read them at all. I was looking at a stick of butter, and you can't read the printed text on that whatsoever. It's just too small and too hard to read. If I didn't know that a stick of butter was half a cup, I wouldn't be able to read that from the measurements on it, because it's all just like blurry red.
Surprisingly bad.
Yeah.
The pass-through video, you mean?
Like,
well, yeah, I mean, if you can't read what's on a stick of butter,
you can't read anything with the
measuring
Vision
cup.
Pro. Like, when we did the show last week, I cannot believe it actually worked, because anytime I'm looking at text through the Vision Pro, I can't see what it says.
It's just too blurry?
It's
just
blurry.
too dark?
It's blurry. And maybe that's just my eyes, but whenever I look, like looking at a computer monitor especially, which is a high dynamic thing to be looking at, right? Because there's like very bright lights and then there's very dark parts of it. And reading that text on there was very difficult. I could barely see what I was doing. I was kind of operating off of muscle memory last week.
I mean, you also can't read, so you've just learned how to get by without that. So that's another.
Well, yeah, I also don't know how to
Ancillary
read, but I do make out some of the characters. I'm like, oh, there's my sign, the X. Okay, so there's cooking for you. Anything else about that?
Yeah. Well, we can move on. Typing with the Vision Pro. This is another sticking point.
This is where it all goes south. Yep.
Typing on the floating keyboard. So, I did a typing test. It just published today. You can watch. I actually recommend you watch this video, because you really see my like train of thought as I go through the video. But I started with a baseline of typing on my keyboard on my Mac, which is a Model F mechanical keyboard. I got 83 words per minute. Apparently that's fast. I didn't know. I've never taken a typing class. But apparently I'm a fast typist. Then I tried doing the same typing test. I just went to like typingtest.com on the Vision Pro, and I got 23 words per minute. Yep. Which is like less than a third of the typing speed. And I took the same 3-minute test. It felt like 20 minutes. It's actually like not that slow compared to what they say is the average typist at 36 words per minute. And I compared it to several other things. I compared it to handwriting, where I got 27 words per minute just writing on paper. I got out a typewriter, and I took the same test, and I was able to type on a typewriter using the same like hunt and peck method at 35 words per minute. It's like the Vision Pro, if you think about it, isn't like that much far behind it. And yet, I hate every second of my existence when I'm trying to type on the on-screen keyboard. It's just so intensely frustrating that there's no feedback whatsoever. So that was interesting. But then I used voice dictation. I replicated the same test again, reading the passage in front of me rather than retyping it, and I got an incredible 134 words per minute.
Well, how accurate was it?
That is after accounting for typos.
Huh.
Reading it out of the box, it was even higher at like 140
But how did you fix typos? Because now you're relegated back to the virtual keyboard.
That's another thing, because the dictation is much more accurate than dictation on other devices. It's much more accurate than my iPhone, because like the Vision Pro has like 6 microphones on it. The iPhone only has 2. Much more accurate than my Mac. But for doing a long passage, it tries to automatically place periods in the middle of a sentence. It doesn't do a very good job of that. But on the other hand, you could just say, I'm going to the store today, period. Like actually vocalize your periods and your punctuations and your semicolons. Then it would be a little bit better than like that. So if you're typing out, just trying to quickly respond to a text message, it's actually not that bad doing dictation rather than trying to poke it out on the virtual keyboard.
I mean, that's also easily fixable by getting a Bluetooth keyboard. I don't think that the keyboard on the Vision Pro is going to be much better anytime soon, especially. But if you just get a Bluetooth keyboard, then you the problem is solved. Although now it's kind of weird because like you can't as easily see the keyboard when you're looking up and down. At least for me, because I found it to be kind of blurry, especially if you're in a virtual environment. Like you can't see it at all, which can be a challenge. But if you need to be productive, I mean, obviously, like that's one way to do it. It's just switch to a keyboard. What are the next tests? Are you got any more tests upcoming, Griffin? You're kind of running out of time here, right? Like you got to decide whether or not you're going to return it.
Yeah. I couldn't come up with any other ideas. Tomorrow I'm going to do or at least for this weekend, I'm probably just going to do a compilation of all the best apps that I found on it.
Yeah.
So people who don't have the $4,000 to drop for 2 weeks, they'll just be able to, live vicariously through me as I show them all the best stuff to do.
Yeah, well, as many problems as the Vision Pro has, like when I'm not wearing it, I do kind of miss not having it on my face because the things that it does well, it does so well, and there's nothing else like it. I mean, there really is nothing else that I've ever seen that's like it. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Have you tried to look with your eyes and tap with your fingers doing something else? Like I caught myself doing that in my car, trying to control my Prius in-car entertainment. Have you caught yourself doing that at all?
No, not a single time has it even occurred to me to try to do that. At least not yet. But you've been spending a lot more time in the Vision Pro than I have. Like I used it a lot when I first got it, and then I just kind of found myself not really willing to put it on my head very much. Just like Snazzy Labs. I was like, yeah, I'd rather just do this on my Mac. Oh, I'd rather just watch TV on my television. So it hasn't won me over. It does a lot of things kind of well, but it doesn't do anything so well that I would want to replace it or use it instead of the thing that I would normally do those things with. Like productivity, I use my Mac. Movies I use my TV. And I still think that those things are better at what they do than the Vision Pro is at doing the things that those things do, if that makes sense. So you've been spending way more time in your Vision Pro. Like it sounds like you're wearing yours like several hours a day, if not longer.
Many hours a day. Yeah.
You might need some help. Have either of you experienced this thing like I don't remember who it was, but somebody was saying like the worst thing about it is that it's like it's so amazingly awesome and the visuals are so immersive and everything that when you take it off, real life looks boring.
I wouldn't say that because when I take it off, my house looks bright again.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The Vision pass-through really is terrible. Like it's okay, I'm being that's hyperbolic. It's really not great. Like it makes your reality look a lot worse. The dynamic range isn't good. It's noisy. The colors don't look as good. And then you pop up like this window in the middle of your room, and that window looks incredible. It's like super sharp, beautiful, fun to interact with, but the camera pass-through, they really need to fix that and make it better because it is glaringly obvious how bad it is when you go into like a virtual environment, like you're standing in Yosemite National Park looking around you and it's like lifelike. It's unbelievable how good it looks. Or you're watching something in like their like spatial movie theater and you're looking around. It feels like you're in like this endless movie theater in the balcony and you have this big screen and the movie. Even the movies don't look nearly as good as I thought that they were going to. I don't know if the resolution, like 4K videos even like don't even look as good as I thought they were going to. I mean, they look good, but
have you watched like any of the 3D ones from Disney or whatever?
I watched some of the 3D ones from Apple TV. They 3D'd Jumanji: The Next Level, and it looks great. I mean, it looks really good. And there's a lot of demo content they put on there, which looks incredible. That's the stuff that looks the best more than anything else that I've seen. Like there was this one, if you haven't done the demo yet, there's a scene where this woman is doing a tightrope walk across these two cliffs. She might even be at the Grand Canyon. I don't know where she is. And it made me dizzy looking down. Like it was so realistic. It's so high res. It looked incredible. And they showed these scenes from sports games, like camera angles that were on the field, like, seats that you couldn't buy. And you got to be up close and personal to all the action. It feels like you're standing in the stadium. Like it's unbelievably immersive. That stuff, when you see that stuff, it's like, wow, this is the future. Like it may not be for everyone, but it's going to be for a lot of people once they dial in some of these things and kind of fix some of the problems that the Vision Pro is having. You're going to see these things everywhere. But at least for me at this point, it's not there.
The thing about the 4K screen is that even though each eye has like a 4.5K display in front of it, so you probably have like a combined vision of like 8K of pixels total, but there's a lot of overlap there. So between your two eyes, you probably have like 6K resolution of your entire field of view. But if you think about it, that means that a 4K display has to be like 80% of your field of view for you to actually see every pixel there. So if you have a 4K video, but it's, kind of like half size or like only filling, the center like 50% of your field of view, you're not seeing the full 4K there. The displays would have to be much bigger and like much higher resolution for you to actually see a 4K video pixel for pixel.
Gurn saying Alicia Keys' demo is supposed to be really good. Yeah, it is. It is. And you feel like you're in the room with her and like all the musicians in the room. Like the demos really are the most amazing part of the Vision Pro. They did such a good job with those. So there you go. We'll see how many Vision Pros end up on eBay, via resellers that Apple has secret agreements with, and how many end up in the refurbished store. I'm leaning towards returning mine. Griffin, it sounds like you're leaning towards returning yours just because of the price.
I have to.
Yeah.
But I would love to keep it.
That's the honest reality for so many of us. It's like, dude, it's $4,000. It's hard to stomach a $4,000 purchase for most people for anything. I mean, anything but a car. Like $4,000 is a lot of money for something that you are not going to rely on and use every single day. Like a MacBook Pro, maybe you could do that because you use a MacBook Pro to make money. But a Vision Pro at this point is an entertainment device for your face. It's really hard to justify the cost, in my opinion. I'm not saying that it's a bad product. It's not. It's an incredible product, but that price is hard to swallow. Okay, I think we're all wrapped up on the Apple news. I did want to mention two quick things. Everyone made fun of me. They're like, "Don't mention it. It's not that entertaining." Lewis was telling me I'm a bad person and you guys won't care. But you know what, Lewis? I'm going to do it anyway. Can I find it? Do I have it here? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't have it up.
Not clear to me what you're even talking about.
I'm looking for the story. Okay, I have to go to the show notes and bring this up.
So,
actually, Lewis, this is you. Lewis.
No, I thought you were so excited about you want to take it over.
This is
I'm
your
happy to
story.
talk about
just at least mention
my in-depth research
for people
on
that
this.
are traveling. This will be cool.
Yeah, it was with iOS 17.3 and iPadOS, same thing. You can wirelessly stream content from your iPhone or iPad to a compatible hotel room TV via AirPlay, which is going to be awesome when it happens, right? You're in a hotel room. You don't have to mess around with their janky in-house crap. You basically are going to be able to scan a little QR code, and supposedly, you'll automatically connect to the TV, and you'll get like connected to the Wi-Fi, the hotel Wi-Fi. It takes care of a bunch of problems, right? However, like Apple announced this last year, but adoption's been a little slower than expected. But LG, which one of the original, I guess partners, or I don't know if they're a partner, but they said they were going to be rolling out last year. Now they actually say that they're going to be rolling out TVs that offer this feature at hotels in the coming months. IHG Hotels and Resorts is supposedly, one of the very first ones to offer this at certain hotels. They own a whole bunch of, Holiday Inn, Crowne Plaza, blah, 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 on the long list of things. Anyway, this story is from Mac Rumors. This is a quote from their story. A spokesperson for LG today informed Mac Rumors that the company expects the first hotels to install AirPlay-enabled smart TVs, quote, later this spring, meaning that the feature would be available by mid-June at the latest. So, we were talking about this. It's like, okay, well, is it hardware, is only a place that has to have a brand new TV put in the room? If so, that's going to take forever. But apparently, at least from the press release that LG put out a while back, it's going to work with recent models of their smart TVs. So, and with any luck, other companies will also switch on this feature somehow. And I mean, once they do, it'll be a great boon for everybody. Anytime you stay in a hotel, if you can just stream something from your phone or your iPad directly to the TV, that's gonna be fantastic. I think that's all there is to say about it. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Let us know if you ever run into a hotel that has this, because it's going to be fantastic, right? I mean,
yeah.
I wasn't trying to downplay how cool the feature will be. I was just, it sounds like it might take a little bit of time still. Like they're not going to replace every single TV in every hotel room in America.
No, not yet. But
not this week.
A long-needed feature.
Not this year.
When I went to Disney World last year and we stayed at one of the Disney World resorts, I was like, dude, how do we watch anything on this TV? There's no way to get the content. Everyone carries their content with them now, everywhere they go. And I don't need to rent a movie from the hotel or from Disney to watch something. Like, I should be able to just stream it. And it's been impossible to do unless you bring like a Chromecast or something with you. So like, this is the future we all need and deserve. That's the only reason why I wanted to bring it up. Speaking of the future you need and deserve, I'm going to wrap up with this. This is just a heads up and a PSA. We are on the verge of a release, an update to one of the most popular consumer cameras of the last 5 years. And maybe this doesn't interest you. I'm a huge camera person. I could probably start a whole camera channel and talk about nothing but cameras because I like to test them out and I have a lot of experience with cameras. And there was a camera that came out about 3 or 4 years ago called the Fujifilm X100VI. And it got popular on TikTok. And then once that happened, it was basically sold out for like the last year and a half. You literally could not get it unless you wanted to buy it from a scalper. The reason it's so popular is because it's a small, compact camera that emulates film very well. And it's a beautiful camera. It has an Apple aesthetic to it in its simplicity. Like, it's a minimal, beautiful camera. I'm trying to bring this up as I'm talking here. And you haven't been able to find it because it's just been sold out for like literally like a year and a half or 2 years. We are on the verge of an update. The X100VI is probably going to be announced on Monday, and pre-sales will be Monday nights after the announcement. I think they're announcing this in Japan maybe in like 1 a.m. Eastern time. I'm not sure exactly what time it will be. You can go to fujirumors.com, which is where I'm getting my information from. And the pre-orders will go live, and once this thing sells out, it's going to be gone. And it may not be back in stock for months. Now, they are moving production from Japan to China, which a lot of people are not happy about. I'm on the fence because my MacBook Pro is made in China. It's good. You're right. So if you get a good manufacturer, I think it could be fine. And they may be able to increase production for this camera once it goes on sale, because obviously that was a huge problem. Fujifilm literally cannot make enough to satisfy demand for like, a year or two. So if you're interested in cameras, if you know about this camera and you're like, yeah, I thought about buying that before, I'm just giving you a PSA. It's going to go on sale on Monday night. And once it sells out, it may be gone for months, if not longer. So if you're interested, there are places online, obviously, that you can get cameras. I'm not going to go into all that, but I at least want to give you a PSA. This is something that I'm going to buy. I'm going to pre-order and probably talk about on a future show, because I think this is probably one of the best, if not the best, consumer camera for most people, and takes really beautiful images. Like, this has been, the Fujifilm cameras have been the camera of for documenting my memories for like the last 5 or 6 years. Different permutations of it. I've owned like 3 or 4 of them, and if you have kids, especially a family, you like to take pictures that go beyond iPhone, like this is the one I would recommend and choose personally. So I at least wanted to bring it up. And with that, I depress the button, Lewis. And the button brings up the music, because we've been live for 1 hour and 48 minutes. Holy cow.
Wow.
No, hour 20 minutes. Hour 20 minutes. We've been recording for 1 hour and 50 minutes. But that's it. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? The party never ends. We're on the all new X with me and Lewis duking it out. I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. Of course, you can also just Google D. Griffin Jones, and all sorts of seedy, shady places will come up where Griffin spends his time. And one of
you
those
can find
places
both
is
of us on
Mastodon.
the Cult Club Discord.
Yeah, that's right. Griffin and I are actively hanging out in the Cult Club Discord, and if you want to come join us and possibly even be on the show, support.thecultcast.com, cult of 9 to 5 macrumors.com. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's.
I want to thank everyone for listening and for supporting. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night, and we will see you guys next time. Normally I have witty commentary that goes here, but we've been broadcasting for so live, Lewis. I literally have nothing else to say.
You're all out of witticisms, huh?
No more witticisms, no more quips. Just
I
silence.
don't trust this. FujiRumors.com. I like to read cultoffuji.com.
Hey, that's another URL we should consider buying. Maybe that should be our business strategy. Let's just buy URLs that people might accidentally type and funnel them to our Shady Stripe site where we ask them to give us $5. All right, everyone. I'm hurling towards the end stream button as we speak. Have a great weekend. Bye, y'all.